Oh.
The Major Spoilers podcast covers news, reviews, and of course spoilers, and goes into details about the topics discussed. So if you haven't read, listened, or watched the items we talk about, you might want to come back later.
I'm Matthew.
I'm Rodrigo.
And I'm Steven, and you're listening to the Major Spoilers podcast, the podcast for pop culture and comic fans.
In this issue, Dinner with the Infidel, following Lara into a tomb and all manner of the yielding arts. Plus, it's time for Astro City, which means a graduation, a mystery unraveled, and a debut of one of my faves. Just like the Wild Weasel sings a song, sounds like she's singing hoot, a hoot, a hoot. Now, I don't know what any of that means, but I'll tell you, it's really profound sounding if you say it really fast and then take a big chunk of cough syrup. But in the words of Bingo, Bango, Bongo, and everything, I want to go back to Pango, 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 yeah, with you. And the Major Spoilers podcast is on the air.
Welcome to issue 1161 of the Major Spoilers podcast. Thank you so much for downloading and checking us out this week. And thank you to everyone who is a patron over on our Patreon page, patreon.com/Major Spoilers. That's where you can go make a small monthly contribution, $5 a month, less than the cost of most comic books. Keeps this show running. So $60 a year, you can keep this show running and has the satisfaction of knowing that because of you and other fine people like you, we get to do this each week for you. Patreon.com/Major Spoilers. Go check it out. Sign up today. We look forward to giving you a shout out on this show. No shout outs this week. So there's some people we're disappointed in, and I think they know who they are. Patreon.com/Major Spoilers. We'll fix that. In the meantime, let's do some reviews.
All right.
Rodrigo, my son, my youngest son, who is now the oldest kid in the house, is a big fan of the Jujutsu Kaisen show.
Right.
So what's going on with that series?
Right. So Jujutsu Kaisen season 3 is coming out now. It's dropping weekly. If you're most places where you're watching it, if you're watching it as it comes out, excuse me. If you're watching it as it comes out, it's not dubbed yet, so you got to watch the sub, which is fine. Because Jujutsu Kaisen is appointment television for me. I watched the first season and I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. And then I watched the second season and I was like, this is like way better than I remember. I went back, watched the first season, watched the whole second season again. I was like, this is like actually pretty good. So I'm watching the third season. There's, I forget how many episodes are out already.
54?
5, 6. There's 7 episodes out already. So I think I might have mentioned it in the patrons show.
What's this about a patron
VIP
show? What? You mean people who become a patron at patreon.com/Major Spoilers sign up for $5 a month and they get access to even more of us talking about pop culture stuff, including anime?
Their own show for free?
No one else can get that?
In this economy?
In this economy.
That's right. Not only that, but we usually jump immediately from that into this show. So you get to hear us like go down the slides and change into our bat costumes.
Yeah.
When we cross the floor threshold.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Explains why my thighs are so chafed.
Well, it really sucks when we get each other's get on the wrong tubes and we end up wearing each other's costumes. Because then I'm plucking feathers off of myself the whole time. Anyway, I'll let you guys figure out whose costume is that.
That's Matthew's.
But anyway, back to Jujutsu Kaisen. What I've come to appreciate from Jujutsu Kaisen is that unlike a lot of anime where it's like, and even if you go back to the manga and then it's like very faithfully translated to the anime very frequently, it is very clear that the writers are making it up as they go. Right? Mm-hmm. Not so in Jujutsu Kaisen. Like there is like a very clear plan. Like I'm not saying that they necessarily had this far ahead from the very beginning, but like they knew where they were going. And this season really doubles down on it. And it like, I think it takes some actions that would possibly normally be like repellent to people that are going in specifically to see an action anime. But I think it really wants to call its shots ahead of time and be like, hey, if you pay attention to this stuff, you'll be rewarded when it happens, because you'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing this thing that was totally set up. And the way they're doing that is that they're doing a tournament arc, but it's not a normal tournament arc. Basically, there's these zones where you can go and fight other Jujutsu sorcerers, which is probably redundant, but that's what they call them in English. And they have all of these rules as to how the fights need to happen and what happens. And when somebody gets up high enough in the point total, they can actually cash in points to add a rule. And so that's already happened, which kind of changes things in certain ways. This last one involves the characters actually, because that's the other thing, is like, they're like, okay, tournament arc. When are they in the tournament? Episode 1? No. 2? 5? 7. That's when they finally get to the tournament. Because there's so much set up. Because last season,
on Critical Hit,
the enemies, basically the bad guys, won last season.
Boo, boo. So
they did have to do a lot of like, hey, what happened to all of the main characters? Who actually survived? Who didn't? And now we're finally getting to the tournament arc. So I'm going to give it 4.5 slices. They're also doing a lot of weird stuff with the animation. They had an episode where it really looked like the majority of it was like a rotoscoped conversation between two people. Like the characters were like moving around really naturally and like, just having a conversation in a room. It was weird. It was a weird choice, and it worked mostly. They cut back to that the next episode, and I'm like, whoa, yeah, this is like a huge difference in animation. But I guess I'm glad they're trying out stuff. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Is this
you guys should check it out if you get a chance.
Is this a Crunchyroll exclusive?
It is, as far as I can tell, the first season of Jujutsu Kaisen is on Netflix.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure only the first season. That, and I was once again thwarted by my ancient enemy, Anime Skip Week, because neither Jujutsu Kaisen nor Frieren updated this past week. So I definitely sat down with like my tub of popcorn and put a Naruto band around my dog's head for nothing. But this week I'll make up for it.
What about the horny teenage anime show? Donk or whatever it is.
Oh, Dan has season 1's been over for a bit.
Okay.
I don't think we're getting season 2 for a few months at least, if not like next year.
Boo. I think we've asked this before, but are you a dub or a sub?
I like dubs for 2 reasons. One, they used to be really bad, but now they're fine, and they're like now they try to make dubs really good.
Mm-hmm.
And often my attention span means that I will like look down or think of something else, and I can watch TV like that. My brain kind of continues recording things, and when I snap back to it, I remember what was said. But I don't understand Japanese, so every time that happens and I don't actually read the subtitles, I have to like dial it back and watch them again.
Yeah.
And that's not a matter of like, oh, I'm doing something else. Like even if I'm sitting down watching that, like every once in a while, like my brain will just be like, okay, well that's enough of this. Let's like look over at the dog and see what he's doing. And then when I realize that I just did that, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I don't understand Japanese. I gotta dial it back and see what people are screaming about.
Yeah, imagine how your dog feels. It doesn't understand Japanese either. It doesn't understand why it's wearing a Naruto band.
Well, he does. I mean, we assume he doesn't understand Japanese because I can't speak it to him. I can't understand it, but he does seem curious sometimes about what's happening on TV.
Oh yeah,
but I think it's
too.
mostly if it sounds like a gate opening or like somebody dropping something on the ground, and he's like, wait a minute, did somebody drop something on the ground?
Yeah. I have noticed that our dog Gwen, she kind of watches animation, which in our house is all anime. She will watch animation more than she will watch like regular people TV. Even if there's a dog on TV, she doesn't care. But an episode of The Simpsons, Family Guy, or any anime, she'll kind of sit there on the couch and she'll maybe be bored and laying her head down, but her eyes are kind of on the TV watching what's going on, or if something really exciting happens, she'll have her head up on that. So
yeah, which I feel like dogs didn't used to do, but I think we've continued to breed dogs to do that. Like we're just naturally selecting dogs that are like
anime fans.
Well, they live with humans, so it's like, well, if I'm interested in what's happening on the TV, then I'm not bored while my human watches TV.
I prefer to think that we're breeding a whole new breed of anime loving dogs.
Weebs.
Yeah, the weeb breed. Matthew, are you a dub or a sub?
I'm neither of those things. I prefer subtitles simply because I really love the emotion in Japanese speech and
the language,
acting, especially. And I really, really love it when you understand just enough to know that the subtitle is wrong. When your brain is like, that's not.
Oh no, there's times where my son has the subtitles on, but they've already dubbed it in English, and it's like the subtitles are not even matching what they're saying in English.
Oh no, it's two different teams that do that.
Yeah, which is a shame. So you like subs. For me, I don't care either way. I think it depends on the quality of the program that I'm watching. If it's one of those that's basically a single room, Korean drama, and I can look away from that and just listen to a dub. But if it's visually appealing, I find it very hard to read a sub because I want to see what's on the screen. So if it's visually appealing, I will take the dub. If it is, if it's visually appealing, I will take the sub. If it is not visually appealing, I can easily, if it's not visually appealing, I will take the subtitles. If it is visually appealing, I need the dub. I need the overdub. So there we go.
If you want to look at it, you want to be able to hear it.
Because I'm too busy looking at the lower third of the screen and not looking at composition and framing and lighting and the acting and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's where I
always feel really lucky that I can usually do both.
I mean, I can do both, but if if there's a lot of action happening on the screen where people are saying a lot of dialogue, as opposed to like a single shot kind of situation, I'd rather watch the action on the screen than read the text. So in those kinds of situations, I want something that is more of a dub so I can understand while being entertained. So what do you think, your listeners? Head over to the Major Spoilers Discord server. You can join the Discord server for free. Jump into either the Poll of the Week or the Major Spoilers podcast channel. I don't think we have an anime channel. No, we don't. But share your thoughts, dubs or subs. Matthew, let's see what the House of quote unquote ideas is doing this week. Oh man, there's a lot of that. No, there are a lot of people right now. I don't know what all of a sudden, maybe it's because of the constant nonstop event comic after event after event. And there's very little time for Amazing Spider-Man or the Hulk or whoever to just have a normal story without getting wrapped up in the 32 different big events. But right now, people are very angry at whatever's going on with Marvel editorial and their story structure. So, but I will say the new Sorcerer Supreme Scarlet Witch series is only a 4-issue miniseries. I've been pretty pleased with it, and this week issue number 3 drops.
Yeah, and the Scarlet Witch series, which is written by Steve Orlando, this particular arc drawn by Bernard Chang, has been a series of limited series. There was Volume 1, then we had a Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, then we had Volume 2, then we had Vision and the Scarlet Witch, then we had another volume, and then right now she is the Sorcerer Supreme. As you may remember, Doctor Strange gave up the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme to Doctor Doom when he was killed by vampires during the vampire nonsense. Now, that seems like 5 years ago. It was literally last summer. But Sorcerer Supreme number 3 is dealing with the fallout of the fact that when Doom abdicated, there was no new Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, because Stephen Strange is over in Asgard being the Sorcerer Supreme of Asgard, or whatever his title is over there.
And Doom destroyed the Eye of Agamotto and the Cloak of Levitation when he did what he did at the end of One Doom to Rule Them All. So they weren't actually permanently destroyed because these are ancient artifacts and kind of alive, and they sought help. And the one thing that Wanda has been doing since she ate the demon Chthon is offering help to anyone who asked for it. So the Cloak of Levitation and the Eye of Agamotto showed up at her magic door asking for help. Wanda now has basically the seals of office for the Sorcerer Supreme. The people who actually empower the Sorcerer Supreme, the ancient Vishanti, are not happy about this. They have sent Agatha Harkness. No?
No, I'm saying no, they're not happy with her.
No, they're not. They've sent Agatha Harkness to take the power back. They have chosen Agatha as the Sorcerer Supreme. This is issue 3 of, I believe Stephen is right with its 4.
I think it's only 4 issues.
Yeah. And nonetheless, this is a really fun issue because Orlando's Scarlet Witch thumbs her nose at anyone who says the phrase OP, overpowered, anywhere in any context. Because at the end of last issue, Wanda was killed, set on fire, and her soul decimated and burning. At the beginning of this issue, she gets up. Most of the story is actually kind of done with a wraparound of Wong and Chthon, the ancient demon, having a nice cup of tea in Chthon's ancient realm called the Sleeping Beyond. It's really disgusting. It's really hilarious. I enjoy it. And in this issue, we find that Wanda actually has an ally who's been ready to stab her in the back, and that is the Sorcerer Supreme of Limbo, the Goblin Queen. Ooh. Now, I don't know if you guys know the Goblin Queen. She's a clone of Marvel Girl.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like weird devil people that show up in Marvel Comics that I have no idea who they are.
The Goblin Queen is a clone of Jean Grey who married Cyclops back in 85 and is the mother of Cable. It is important that we mention that again. Cable's mother is not Jean Grey, but is in fact her double. And that is very important in this issue because Madeline betrays Wanda and is threatening to destroy her and is ready to kill her. And Wanda says, "Are you sure you want to do that?" And she's like, "Yes, I'm going to kill you and I'm going to eat you." And Wanda's like, "If you kill me, I will destroy every memory that you have of your son."
Bum, bum, bum.
And I'm like, oh my God. Now, that is not the big bum, 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 but is a killer moment. I love Orlando's Scarlet Witch, mostly because Orlando thumbs his nose at the concept of anything being overpowered. Bernard Chang does really good work on the interiors. I loved Russell Dauterman, who did the first arc of Scarlet Witch. Chang, in that same ballpark. You know, I don't necessarily want to say one's better than the other, but they're definitely at that same level of quality. 3.5 slices of meatloaf, well above average for Scarlet Witch, Sorcerer Supreme number 3. Nice. And you do need to check it out because it has a big moment at the end where you go, bah, 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 bah.
Yeah. I thought this was only 4 issues. It is a 6-issue mini. I could have swore when this first came out that they said it was a 4-issue, but it shows up on the Marvel website as 6 issues. So
6-issue arcs. Yeah, if you can figure out the reading order, Orlando's Scarlet Witch run is phenomenal stuff. It is really good. This issue also has a wonderful moment where she gathers her allies and advisors. And the advisors that she ends up gathering are her former husband, the Vision, and they're not exactly sons, Speed and Wiccan, and Vision's daughter, Viv. And as she goes off to go and do some adventuring, Vision is just like, kids, since we're all here together, why don't we just hang out and rap a little bit? And I'm just like, oh, Vision wants to hang out with his kids. It's so wonderful.
Yeah, so I think the reading order is the Scarlet Witch Steve Orlando series, not the Scarlet Witch 2015 series by James Robinson. Then you jump into the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, then the Vision and Scarlet Witch. Then it is into the Scarlet Witch. Is it just the Scarlet Witch? No, that's not right.
Volume 2, maybe?
Maybe that's what it is. And then you get into Sorcerer Supreme. So,
yeah, because there are, I want to say, 3 volumes.
Yeah, because I was just looking that there's a Scarlet. Yeah, there's like a Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, another Scarlet Witch series, Scarlet Witch and Vision, then Sorcerer Supreme. Yeah, Scarlet Witch, and then yeah, you're right. It takes a little bit. I will say this about this series, or about the information on the Marvel website, and I don't know if this is done as tongue in cheek or what. But if I look at the recommended series where it says Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, etc., Scarlet Witch 2023 to 2099, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver 2024 to 2099, The Vision and Scarlet Witch 2025 to 2099. There's no 2099 tie-in events in any of those series, so I don't know if they're having fun or if somebody messed up.
It may be just Marvel tweaking our noses.
It could be.
I mean, what's the
found
point of having a $20.99 if you can't use it?
I mean, I kind of found it funny. So, all right, 3.5 slices of meatloaf there. If you want to pick up this issue for yourself, and really, it's worth it. There is a link to our Amazon affiliate link in the show notes. Over at Dark Horse Comics this week, the Tomb Raider is back, and this week it's Tomb Raider Sacred Artifacts #2. I can't remember the last time that I really enjoyed reading a Tomb Raider comic book. This one, well, if you read the first 2 issues back to back, there's certainly elements that feel like, oh, this is from the original video game series. You can see moments where you're training in the yard, climbing up the boxes and doing stuff. This certainly has some globetrotting. It certainly has a mystery of who the Darth Plagueis guy is. That's not his name or her name in this piece. It's the postulate is the bad person's name. But this feels like a really good Tomb Raider Lara Croft story, in that here she is going to Paris to go into the catacombs to recover an artifact. I won't tell you what it is, but it's in Paris and they have to go below the opera house to do it. And she's joined with a new person. And along the way, you're learning a little bit of history about the Paris Opera House, and you get a little bit of Tomb Raider-y, Indiana Jones type stuff that goes on as they're exploring the catacombs. There's some adventure. There's some comedy. I think the one thing that I would improve on this is some of the dialogue is very standoffish, meaning that the characters dance around what they really want to say when they really should get to the point in it. And I understand that there's some things that have gone on since Croft Manor was destroyed in one of the previous series and it's being rebuilt now. But man, Casey Gilly, I really enjoy the first 2 issues. Issue 2 is out this week. Antonio DiCaprio is doing the art. Really love the art. For whatever reason, this feels like, and I can't even say it's the return to even the great Dark Horse run from the early 2000s or whenever they were doing that, because it feels beyond that. And it doesn't feel like they're trying to force any current version of the video game series or the particular character from either a Netflix series or the movie series into this. This feels like the Lara Croft that you knew from, if not the first Tomb Raider game, then the second Tomb Raider game. It's really great. I had a great time reading it. It was a lot of fun. 4.5 slices of meatloaf from me. It's out this week from Dark Horse Comics, and there's also a link in the show notes if you want to to purchase it through our Amazon affiliate link. So good times there. We already mentioned the Patreon page, patreon.com/major spoilers to support us. But Rodrigo kind of hinted that we have a pre-show, that if you listen to the pre-show and then you roll right into this episode, it's like you're getting just one long, giant, continuous conversation from us. And so I think that's really worth it for the $5 a month. This week on the pre-show, we talked about Instagram the Musical, and we talked about Double Dungeon, and we talked about a few other things. What are those other things? You're just going to have to subscribe, download, and listen for yourself. It's over there at patreon.com/major spoilers. Okay, we are returning back to Astro City because it's been years since we visited Astro City, and because we had a couple of skip weeks in which we were supposed to talk about Astro City. I thought this week we would go ahead and do that. It's Volume 8, Shining Stars, from Kurt Busiek and Brent Anderson on the art. And we actually collect a bunch of different Astro City stuff in here. We get a Samaritan story, we get an Astra story, we get a Silver Agent story, and then we get a beauty story, I believe, in this as well. The Barbie doll character.
Beauty and the Samaritan were one-shots. The Astra and Silver Agent were micro-series 2 issues.
Yeah. So it's collecting all of those together, smashing them together into a collection of stories called Shining Stars. What's great about this, Matthew, or what's going on in these issues that we should know about?
The great parts of this issue, the Samaritan story gives us a lot of depth and unexpected explanation about the source of Samaritan's powers completely accidentally. And it does take one of those classic superhero, supervillain rivalry moments, but also it does it in, that Astro City way where it's unexpected.
Yeah, very much so.
Instead of, a big punchy, they're having dinner and they're both lying and kind of manipulating and, working behind each other's back. I just love seeing Samaritan as this Superman archetype in play. That's really cool. I feel like the beauty story is just such a perfect Astro City story because this is your third tier, only in a team character. You'll never have like a beauty solo series, but she'll be a member of like the Honor Guard and a member of the, I don't know, whatever their X-Men are. But the beauty story, instead of being like, oh, what measure of man is a robot girl, ends up being a story about family and bad parents trying to make up for good parents, and this character trying to overcome literal programming. It's just like, oh man, this is a total coming of age story starring a 50-year-old robot. Beauty doesn't remember anything about, her origin, where she comes from, anything like that. And through a series of flashbacks, we see that, she was created by a mad scientist for the daughter, and the daughter, and it's programmed to do whatever the daughter says. And one day the daughter's like, go away, forget all about me. And she does. But because of her programming, Beauty starts to have, I need to piece this together, and I need to find somebody to go and track down this information, until finally she ends up back and meets her mother, for more or less. And she's like, no, go away, forget all about me. And then you're like, oh, that's too bad. She has to follow her programming. And then the mother is sitting there going, she keeps coming back again and again. And it's just like that kind of weird, not quite Twilight Zone reveal, but it is this interesting reveal of, maybe the mother, if she just embraced her creation, would be able to move on, and Beauty would be able to move on. But no, Beauty is trapped in this kind of dark loop. This would be a good dark mirror episode, I think. Yep. And, the woman is tortured because partly her father was not just a supervillain. He was an abusive jerk.
Yeah.
And, as the story ends, one of Beauty's teammates, MPH, follows her. And of course, the implication is she's done this dozens of times. She keeps finding her mom and being told to go away. and forgetting that she ever found her mom. And MPH is like, have you considered that maybe this is how you make up for what your dad couldn't give you? But then we don't see any resolution.
Not here.
Beauty goes about her life.
Yeah.
We haven't yet. But Beauty goes about her life, and the mom has something to think about, and MPH did something nice for his friend, but it's an Astro City story, which means weird, complicated, grown-up emotions, and you don't always get that. What I wanted at the end, that nice bow of her finally telling Beauty the truth. Instead, Beauty's just off doing her thing and maybe feeling a little bit more like she's got her stuff together. I don't know.
Maybe. Rodrigo, what did you think of that Beauty story? It's the last one in the book.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it does have kind of a Twilight Zone kind of feel to it. And it's probably fine that they left it open. I think that any writer would have been happy to have MPH show up first and be like, hey, here comes Beauty again. So this time be nice to her. And maybe the mom is like, okay, this time I'll be nice to her or something, right?
Right.
But the fact that he shows up afterwards and he's like, maybe next time don't be such a jerk to her. And she's like clearly thinking about it, leaves it open for something to happen, something that might be mentioned later or whatever. That's the thing with Astro City is that sometimes you get kind of an open-ended thing and you're like, yes, an open-ended thing. And then, 6 years later, an issue comes out and it's like, hey, remember that open-ended thing? I'm closing it.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering too, isn't MPH partially to blame for this? I mean, we don't know what happens at the end of this story, but he's also kind of complicit in this ongoing lie now, unless he's going to go and tell Beauty the whole truth.
I guess, but it's like a family thing,
Yeah, and I do
like,
kind of.
If you find out that your coworker's adopted, like, do you go and tell them, hey, by the way, you're adopted, like without them knowing, right? Or do you go to his parents and be like, hey, you should tell him?
Right. Yeah. I like that because she makes a point of telling MPH rather rudely, I might add, that they're not friends and he can't sleep with her because, her body is made of plastic.
Yeah.
And he's just like, wait. You think the only reason I would help you is because I wanted to sleep with you? And that's one of those, those complex moments that you don't necessarily get to address in your, I'm going to say run of the mill, your average superhero type story. But here it's kind of baked into that Astro City premise. These are adult characters. These are adventures that have weird, awkward moments, that have unfinished business, that have, Busiek said something a few years ago about how sometimes when he's telling a story, his brain I want to wrap this all up neat with a bow, but real life isn't like that. And sometimes real life is messy and the story is ugly. Yeah. And one of the tricks of Astro City is letting it be messy, letting it be unresolved and ugly and weird. And I feel like that is one of the things that really, kind of holds us away from other books.
Yeah. I enjoyed the Samaritan story. I thought it was interesting. And I liked the ending enough, but I wanted a little bit more than just this one shot that we got. Rodrigo, what do you think?
I liked it. Okay. It's interesting. It's interesting to get all of the bad guys or all the infidels backstory.
Yeah.
It's interesting because they're always like, the thing with writing is you show, don't tell. Unless you're Kurt Busiek, you can get away with just telling. And obviously, comics have pictures too, so you're also showing, I guess. But yeah, he's just like basically straight up just like recounts his entire life, which is interesting. And it's like with Astro City, you're always kind of like, so this guy's Superman, therefore that makes this guy Kang?
Black Adam?
I think like he seems like Kang to me. He's a guy from the super future, but also he's from the past. It's never 1-to-1, right?
Right.
But I thought it was interesting because it's like there's something about this which I think is purposeful.
Yeah.
That at the beginning of the story, this character is harmed. Like he is like, I want to know things, and he goes to where they know things, and they enslave him. Right? They like capture him, and then from then on, he lives as a slave in multiple places. And it's like, by the end, you see how his perception has been colored by all the hardship that he's gone through, and that he basically becomes a supervillain, at least partially because of that, right? Because of his outlook on the world is very specific and very clear. But like obviously, as this little baby boy who just wanted to have knowledge, doesn't just jump directly to that, right? Like very clearly he's gone through a lot of hardship. So it's interesting to see the whole backstory and be like, well, if Samaritan had had a life like that, maybe he would also be quote unquote a supervillain.
Yeah.
Or, maybe there's something to the idea of like, like does this bad guy have a point? He doesn't, but you can see how he gets to where he gets. So it is interesting. It's like it's a pretty well handled thing, and it allows us to have a character who's like a gentleman bad guy with Samaritan. And it's interesting because it is the sort of story that you want to have with Superman, right? Where like Superman does try to rehabilitate his villains after, he gives them a good punch in and stops them from doing what they're doing.
Right.
Then he's like, hey, have you thought about maybe not doing that? So it's, in that sense, it's also a good Superman story because it does end with like neither one of them really managing to budge the other, but they come away with something. And we as an audience obviously come away with much more because we see this whole backstory.
Yeah. The Silver Agent two-parter, we've seen the Silver Agent bouncing around through time in previous volumes, and we know that he did something horrible and had to be put to death. This 2-issue arc gives us kind of like his perspective on everything and how he's coming to grips with everything. And so I think that kind of ties up the Silver Agent story. I don't know if there's a whole lot to go into on that one, except that, here's somebody that's willing to accept his fate because of the things that have happened, but he's just trying to make sure that everything is in place before he's gone for good.
It's a very, obviously with the name of the character, it's a very Silver Age story. And it kind of feels like a little bit the, I don't know if you guys, we read it on the show, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
That last Superman story. When you get into those bits and pieces of, the Silver Age comics, and they had all of this hope for the future and everything's going to be bright and shiny and we're going to be legions of superheroes and such. But maybe we're not. The Silver Agent's storyline dates back to the second issue of Astro City.
Yeah.
So we're talking all the way back in 95. By the time Silver Agent came out, it had been, I want to say 15 years that we had been, oh man, what could possibly have happened?
Yeah.
And I remember being so psyched for this story and thinking, oh my God, we're finally going to get the secret of what happened, what actually did happen with the Silver Agent. And I think that's another kind of moment that I don't necessarily have a lot of in comics anymore. And I don't know that comics writing is designed to do that anymore. That kind of slow burn where a story is being told and and 5 years from now, Jerry Conway's going to tie it all up with a big bow, you know?
I mean, there's a lot of things that only can happen in Astro City because it's one person writing it.
Yeah.
That's true.
But I think you're partially right, Matthew, in that because of this give it to me now society, this instant gratification society that we live in, that we don't have the patience to wait 5 years, 2 years, 15 years for the resolution of something. We want to find the answer right away, or we feel dissatisfied. Had we not had the social media, you don't think so?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, if we had not had the social media revolution that we've had, I think we would have more people being a little bit more patient with this story playing out for as long as it did.
I think it's comics. Like,
you think the comics are the problem? No, it's the children that are the problem.
I think you're right. I mean, if you're comparing social media to comics, then it's definitely that's great grandfather that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
So, but what I'm saying is, with comics, you only get huge, like, amazing resolutions to something that happened a long time ago when things align, right?
Right.
A good writer who cares about that story sits down, retcons the crap out of it, and brings everything together, because they have to, right? Like, they just absolutely have to, and brings everything together. With Astro City, Astro City is like such a wonderful exercise because he's like creating original comics, but also emulating the structure of comics, right? Like, he didn't want to tell us the story of what happened to Silver Agent after the first time poor doomed Silver Agent is mentioned. He wanted to wait and do it later. Honestly, what's surprising to me is that we did get this story, because in the Silver Agent story, in the previous Silver Agent story, we're like, yeah, he dies, but then he shows up like 3 more times. And we don't know why, and he just immediately disappears, right? So this story is telling us what from that was.
Perspective, yeah.
And so I think it's good, but I also think it's really funny because I feel like we didn't need it, although it seems maybe Matthew did, just because of his relationship with the comic. But it's like, I feel it's such a Kurt Busiek story. Like, you bring Kurt Busiek into your comics when you're like, okay, I need you to explain why the Psycho Pirate was in 2 places at once, and also how Immortus and Kang are the same person, and also transition them from one to the other. Can you do it? And he rolls his sleeves back and he does it. Like, I
think the other
Kurt
person
Busiek
that can do that,
telling you exactly how things happened is like so Kurt Busiek.
Yeah, I think Mark Waid is the other one that can do that.
Yeah, definitely.
I think if you're looking at storytelling that has to span the entirety of comics, I think it's Kurt Busiek.
Because they also have the lore, right? They're such comic guys.
Yeah.
That they don't even need to reference things. They're just like, yes, I know exactly how I'm going to do this. Or, I'm sure they do some amount of research.
Who did that She-Hulk series? Was it Waid or was it...
that was Slott, Dan Slott.
Oh, Dan Slott. Okay. Yeah, where he took all those years of She-Hulk history and wrapped it all up.
Yeah. And Slott does that same thing.
Yeah. Maybe those...
Sure.
There's more people,
a few
but
guys
it seems
who
like...
do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, Alan Moore, I think Alan Moore does it sometimes, the characters that he cares about. And sometimes destroys the characters that he doesn't, or alternately destroys the characters that he cares about. He's kind of a loose cannon, but I think there are a few creators who will take on the task of wrangling continuity together, and they all have their own way of doing it. But again, I was reading this, and to me, I was like, oh, this is not Kurt Busiek doing the Silver Age or the Golden Age or whatever. This is Kurt Busiek kind of doing Kurt Busiek.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that in order to tell a story over 15 years and have an audience stick with it, is very different when Astro City first started back in the whatever it was, late 90s.
95.
Yeah, and compared to if you were to try to do an Astro City today, people would want to be like, so what happens next? We need the story to be wrapped up in a tight bow, which you've already said that Busiek doesn't like to do that all the time. And so I think
and
in
Reddit
this
would be like, oh, these are all plot.
And so in this instant gratification world that we live in, I'm not sure that a 15-year storyline would work for today's audience.
True.
Yeah.
I think that you are right in that 95 was a peculiar time for a comic like Astro City to pop up. And it was specifically designed as sort of the ideological opposite of the, the crazy action of your young bloods and your wild storms and your Framalellas.
Or even your Marvels and DCs.
To some degree, yeah. But I also feel like the thing about Astro City and the thing about a lot of the comics that, we run into Hellboy. And Hellboy is now going on in the era when we wonder, will these long-form storytelling experiments work? Hellboy, kind of the same thing. You have this vast tapestry of history, and we're only seeing little bits of it at a time. I feel like that can definitely work, but also one of the things about the Silver Agent story that occurred to me during this reading, so keep in mind, this is a 16-year-old comic book that I've read, I'm going to say a dozen times. I love the Silver Agent story.
Sure.
This is the story that gives us the closest thing Astro City has to the Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it until the read through for this episode. And, it's weird to me that, we talk about all of those Silver Age tropes, Superboy going forward in time to inspire the heroes of the future with that dark twist. I feel like it kind of gives the Silver Agent a little bit more oomph because when you look at him, you think, oh, this is a Captain America type. He's really not a Captain America type.
Yeah. And yeah, absolutely. I think that that's an easy trap to fall into, but it's there. Like there are things that are there, but again, he doesn't hold himself back to like, this is my Iron Man and this is my Silver Surfer and this is my this, right? He, like Samaritan, I if I remember correctly, basically has what is it, like a holocron or whatever, like what, or an absorbocron, right? What the Hawkmen have to like figure out if something's happening somewhere, right? And it's like, yeah, this villain is sort of a Vandal Savage type, but also Kang. It's like the Silver Agent is Captain America if Captain America was a cop rather than a soldier. And also he goes into the future to be Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes, but also he die, right? It's like, so he's really, I mean, it makes the lore very complex and nuanced, but he also doesn't hold himself back, right? He's like, these are like these huge swings of like completely earnest superhero stuff, right? Like there's not an ounce of like irony or like looking at the camera and being like, wow, superhero comics, am I right?
Yeah. No.
And when there is that, it tends to be handled in a way that it makes sense both in and out of context, right? Like where in the story, people are like, oh, I'm just another wacky day in Astro City, I guess.
Yeah, no, you have to, I think today you have to take big swings. I wrote about this, about a month or so ago over on our new website, majorspoilers.substack.com, where you have some creators like Busiek or Robert Kirkman, who's just like, you know what, I'm going to do this thing and not tell anybody that we're relaunching Transformers until the day of, or that I'm ending The Walking Dead until the day of. And you're just like, this is not how the comic industry works. And, you know, Busiek or Kirkman just point their bat out to left field and say, watch me, and just take that swing and knock it out of the park. And I think overall, Astro Cities is one of those things that you can look at, creator-owned comics. And I think you can say that this is somebody who loves the comic industry, knows the comic industry, but also says, I'm not going to be tied down by the conventions of what has come before, and I'm going to do what I want. And, you know, including, hey, I'm not currently doing any Astro City stuff until I'm ready to do more Astro City stuff. I don't even know how long it's been since the last issue of Astro City. It's what, 5-6 years?
Well, I know for a long time there were like health issues and stuff. So life happens when you're writing. It's like the three of us here played a Dungeons and Dragons game that took 10 years and we put it online. Right? It's like, remember all the things that happened during that time? It was everything. Everything happened during that time, right? Yeah. And we still put out this like huge adventure that people can go back and listen to. And I think, you mentioned that this would never happen today in comics, but I think today's audiences are particularly primed for something like Astro City.
I think for something new,
something to absorb. They want something to kind of belong to, something that they can look at and look forward to. And also specifically for Astro City now, because Astro City has been around for so long, it's so bingeable, right? So it's like anybody now who gets into Astro City at least has, a few months until they feel the same pain that the rest of us feel waiting for the new volume of Astro City to come out,
I
2
wonder,
to 4 to 6 years from now.
So I don't know who it is somebody on Twitter was just like, how come kids don't read comic books anymore? And I'm like, kids do read comic books. They're simply called manga now. And I've been thinking,
not marketed to kids?
Well, but I'm saying specifically manga is the comic books that kids are reading. And why do kids today, why are these young kids today so interested in the manga? It's because there's support material in the form of anime that gets them hooked so that then they go out and want to read everything related to that anime series in manga form. And again, I look at my son, he's my test subject of 1. But he sits down and he stumbles across the Invincible TV show, and he binges the entire animated Invincible series. And then I'm like, this is based on a comic book. Really? Yes. Here are all the omnibus volumes that I have. Next day, is there any more of this stuff? No, there isn't.
Right.
And, for him, that's, this outside, what's it called? Support material. Anime is more than a support material, but you need something to get the audience, the kids today, into Astro City. And I don't know if Astro City would support. I don't know if Astro City would support an animated series or a live action series, but there's got to be some doorway that you open on the side of your van and say, "Hey, kids, you want some comics?" You need something to get the kids into that stuff.
And you're right. And modern comics like kind of absolutely refuse to do that unless there's something else going on, right? It's like there are actually highly successful Western comics that kids read, but they're the younger titles because they're frequently supported by Scholastic, right?
Yeah.
Like the reason why the reason why is it Jeff Smith who did Bone, right? Like the reason like
Dogman, Captain Underpants,
Owly, all of that stuff. Yeah. All of those were successful because there was that additional support. They were going to schools being like, kids, please read a comic so we can interest you in reading books.
But
and the problem kids were like, sure thing.
Problem is, though, they hit middle school and Scholastic no longer goes to middle schools.
Yeah.
They don't go to high school. So they have to find another doorway to get their fix.
And that's the thing, manga is there to catch them, whereas Western comics are not. It is insane, absolutely bananas that the MCU is as big as it is and has had like so little of an impact on like comic book sales, right?
Yeah,
like you would expect that Marvel would have quadrupled their sales, or like the sales would continue to go up and up until at least Endgame, right?
Yeah.
But that was not the case, and frequently Marvel wasn't even like in the top, like had that many comics in the top comics on any given metric.
Because a kid goes and watches Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and then they're like, "Oh, Miles Morales is so awesome." Kids would say something more like rad today, I think is the words that they would use.
I don't think so.
They'd be like, "Hey, Dad, put the fries in the bag and let's go get us some comic-y books featuring this Miles Morales guy." And so the kids get their hands on a Miles Morales comic book and they open it up and they're like, "This is nothing like the movie.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Whereas if you look at Invincible, the TV show, and the Invincible, the comics, at least it's following that storyline fairly closely. If you look at manga and anime, they follow one another fairly closely, Full Metal Alchemist aside. But, it follows that stuff so that they can easily step into that world and then explore further if they want. I think Astro City is probably one of those that is kind of primed for one of those elements of saying, hey, kids, have you heard of Astro City? It's this new anime show, or it's this new Netflix series or whatever that kids could get into. And
like now is such a great time for that. There could be a series, and then they could how they have like Talking Dead or like like those basically podcasts where they interview people.
Yeah,
they could just do an Astro City show, and then immediately after be like, hey, let's look at the comics. Let's look at the comics that Astro City is based on, and sort of what sort of influences were happening. Is like, this is a comic that takes place in the 60s. Well, guess what? There's a lot of 60s comics references in this comic. Let's look at them. And again, kids will just watch video essays.
Oh yeah,
right.
Oh,
or just like explainers. Like they're like, I don't want to read this. Just explain it to me. YouTuber. I was gonna try to say the name of a YouTuber, but all of the YouTubers that I thought of immediately have recently retired, which again goes to show
me what's
how old
going
I am.
on with this Lopez family variety hour.
Yep. Tell me what's going on, Matt Pat.
Yeah, Markiplier. Okay, so yes,
those names make me.
That's his name. He made a movie for
Markiplier.
Yeah, Markiplier is
tearing it up.
Yeah, no, he's the hot stuff right now. He is the thing that has Hollywood freaking out because he made a sub $3 million movie and has raked in over 60 million so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, he's the thing. Even kids that are in college know who he is.
Soulless monster like Mr. Beast.
No. Markiplier is like he's got a pretty good community. Yeah, he's pretty well liked.
Yeah, he's got like 38 million followers, something like that. So I don't know if he's got any controversial stuff. I wouldn't dismiss people on YouTube, Matthew, just because they've got weird names or because they do stuff, and just dismiss everybody, because I think that there's a lot of really good people out there. But, when you, I guess we've talked about this before. If you go to Reddit, you've got to meet Reddit where it's at. If you're playing any kind of video game, you have to meet the video game where it's at. If you go to YouTube, you have to meet YouTube where it's at. And YouTube is filled with people that are genuinely interested in having fun. Somebody like Queso, for example. But then there are people who are out there just to be angry and grift off their anger, like that one Star Wars guy. You're going to find both sides. So whatever side you want to find, you will find that online. But there's some people that are doing some really great, amazing things that I think could be that doorway, whether it's a video essay or whether it is a short, their own fan film creation set in the world of Astro City, that I think could be that doorway to the, the lost generation of kids who don't have anything between Scholastic and, hardcore anime,
or anime.
Yeah, whatever they get into in that later stages of life that kids are reading now. There's that middle grade that they're just missing out on it. Every time a company tries to go in and say, hey, let's create something for the young adult or the middle grade reader, they just stumble the ball. And a lot of it has to do with, what is your doorway drug? What is your support material to get them into that comic?
Well, and they don't commit. Honestly, they don't commit hard enough as the other thing.
Yeah. Like, they want instant
because
sales.
you need to build that. You need to let that infrastructure, right? Which they don't. They're like, let's put out comics for kids and put them in mom and pop comic book shops, and available to buy the print online. And it's like, kids aren't going to either of those.
Yeah, no, I got a message from somebody the other day.
Response, then they just do it.
Yeah, no, I got a message from somebody the other day that was like, "Oh, I want to read comics, but I'm not going to pay full price for a digital comic." Plus, comic services like Marvel Unlimited or DC Online are just horrendous to navigate and find stuff through. And so it doesn't help there for people that want to read digital comics, so that forces them to go to other places. we need to switch back into the Astro City, but I wanted to kind of wrap up with kind of one more thought. Unfortunately, the comic book industry is repeating the same mistakes that they did back in the 1970s when DC Comics attempted to relaunch with their $1 line under Jeanette Kahn and do all of the new comics that they were going to do. And then because of a snowstorm, which delayed things by a number of months, delayed sales and everything by a number of months, 3 months later, the bean counters are looking and saying, oh, this thing is a complete disaster, without looking at all of the things that were part of that problem. And they're just looking at the 3-month data and saying, 3 months, these sales are awful. We need to cancel this book and move on to something else, instead of saying, no, like what Kurt Busiek does, like what Robert Kirkman does, where you can say, no, I can do what I want with this title, and I'm going to put out 50 issues. Or like, what's his name, who's doing Savage Dragon, Eric Larson. It's just like, I'll do what I want, and I don't care if people like it. You'll either like it or you don't like it. And because he's been around for so long, people find more and more Savage Dragon that they can get into. Back to the final 2 stories in this volume, the Astra story. Kind of my least favorite in this, I got to be honest, only because it's like, I'm a popular super... and I'll just say this in modern terms, I'm a very popular rich kid, and I just want to be normal. And every time I take a normal friend to go do all the cool, awesome things I do, all they do is look at me as somebody who's not normal, and I just want to be normal. And it just feels kind of like a whiny issue where she's trying to prove to this boyfriend, who turns out not to be her boyfriend, where she tries to prove to her boyfriend that it's like, oh yeah, I do normal things like drive my Ferrari or go visit the princes in Saudi Arabia or, go hang out with the movie stars. I'm normal, just like you. And I think that story kind of goes against what Astra wants in her life.
I disagree.
Yeah, that's fine.
I like that you read it that way, because it does still sort of back up the thesis.
Yeah.
I think what she wants is to be accepted for who she is. And basically, she says that only in this weird, like agglomerated universe pocket dimension does she ever feel like people accept her for who she is, right?
Mm-hmm. But she's
because
doing it.
Humans on Earth see her as a superhero.
But she's doing it by showing her quote-unquote boyfriend. She's doing it by showing her quote-unquote boyfriend that she's like, look here, everybody just treats me as normal. But from the boyfriend's perspective, it's like, no, this is not normal. This is not what normal people do. And that's why everybody wants all the gossip on you. Oh, by the way, I'm secretly working for the TMZ of this universe to show how not normal you are. And it just kind of feels weird.
It turns out that he's in on that, right? So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're having some technical delay issues.
She knows that that's what he's doing, right?
Yeah.
And so she's kind of taking him around kind of to test the deal, right? Like she was basically getting ready to be like, hey, I'm going to go move to this weird pocket dimension. You should come with me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out that this guy kind of, I don't know, like kind of red pilled out on her and was like, well, obviously she's going to leave me as soon as she graduates because she's going to go be a superhero. So I need to get my bag while I can. Right.
Yeah.
So he basically betrays her. And I think she's trying to like be like, hey, I need you. Like, if you can prove that you see me, like, let me take you to all these weird places and all these wonderful places and see if you can see me for who I am. And he fails solidly.
I never too.
I didn't feel.
See if Rodrigo catches up. Are you there, Matthew, still?
Yeah. Sorry, I thought Matthew was going to jump in here.
Oh, no.
Hello, I'm here.
What were you going to say?
Shall I jump in?
What were you going to say, Matthew?
I think that the most fascinating part to me about the Astro story is it's Astro City trying to do 15 years ago, but a modern story with modern superheroes and a character who's dealing with the kind of problems that you will see in, I hate to use the K word, but like a Kardashian or one of those media figures who's famous for kind of being famous.
Yeah.
The celebrity culture through the lens of Astro City. And then, we get to a point where Astra, as always, just wants to try and be a normal girl. Her first appearance all the way back, she just wanted to be a normal girl and go play jacks at a normal school. And here she wants to try and be a normal 20-something and maybe make out with her boyfriend, even if it's in space. And I do agree that Astra fails the trust test almost as much as we don't say his name in my house does. But also, she fails the test in part because she knew what he was doing. I mean, she's a living energy being, and she's like, you have batteries in your shoes and recording devices in your glasses. I know what you're doing, and I'm trying to give you a chance to get out of it, and you failed. So I don't know. I feel like...
Yeah, I mean... A completely well-adjusted person, would have been like, hey, by the way, I know what you're doing, like before any of that happens. It's like, you want to talk about it? But instead, she tests him, which is, admittedly not something that like you should do in a relationship.
Yeah.
But also she's 18, right?
Yeah.
Like she's very young and the adults in her life try to talk her out of it. And she's like, nope, I'm going to test him. So
it's funny.
That's basically why we get this story.
It's funny that when I'm reading this, Astra to me comes off very much like Glinda did in Wicked. Kind of a little bit self-absorbed, kind of a little bit, how do I flex my stuff while at the same time being popular? There's something about, if you read that 2-issue arc and you think Glinda from the Wicked movie, it just somewhat lined up for me, and it just kind of spoiled any interest that I had in this character because she just felt like a rich kid showing off more so than, and again, goes back to they both fail because they're just not communicating. So I don't know. It was my least favorite story in this whole volume. Yeah. So let's wrap everything up this week. Final thoughts, Rodrigo.
Astro City is great. It's hard, especially in a volume like this that collects a bunch of issues of like random stories. It's hard for one of them to not hit something that you're into, right? Mm-hmm. Even if it's just you sitting there with like holding up pictures of different comic book characters, like, well, this guy's kind of like this guy mixed with this guy, except they're a lady, right? Like, so even just that is fun. So for me, it's always a buy. It'll increase your Astro City collection. Just do it.
Yeah. Final thoughts from me. I enjoyed this one, even though I thought it was fairly mixed bag, but still more than half of the stories that we had in here, I thought were very interesting and engaging. I also enjoy reading Astro City. I don't know if I can read Astro City in one giant binge, but this is certainly because you have all of these little stories in here. This is one that you should pick up and buy and just read. Hey, today I'm going to read Samaritan. Tomorrow I'm going to read the 2 Astro ones. Next month I'll read the Silver Agent and find out what's going on there. So yeah, I still think Astro City is a strong buy from me. Matthew?
Agreed. This is maybe not the most balanced volume of Astro City and collection, and partly because it wasn't really a collection, but it's also got what I think may be my favorite individual issue of since the launch boot vamp reboot thing, because it went away for many years and then it came back and there was a whole bunch of new stuff. I feel like the Silver Agent wrap up is excellent. The Beauty issue is excellent. Astra, and as a whole, if you look at a book and you go 4.5 slices of meatloaf, that's still a rush right out in a buying frenzy for me. If it says Astro City by Kurt Busiek on the cover, buy it, read it, learn it, live it, know it.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Thank you so much. That wraps it up for this issue. Thank you so much for listening. If you found value in the show, we'd love for you to join us over on our Patreon page, where you can find even more fun, including the pre-show. Like I said, we talk about Instagram, the musical, and a whole lot more. Find out more and sign up today at patreon.com/major spoilers. Next week on the show, we're going to find out what everybody's talking about with this Bitter Root series. Why? Because we know that you love comics, and we do too. And we will talk with you soon.
Fat the X-ray vision of a Superman. I could save a few bucks and stand around and read through the covers of the comics on the stand. But although every other page would be backwards, I suppose I could still read the evens and the odds. Well, I don't know. Guess I haven't thought this all the way through. Plus, as soon as the comic book store guy knew, they kicked my butt out on the corner. What a major spoiler. What a major spoiler. Think about a better way. If I was hulking green or gray, I could just bust through that brick wall, take their comic books away. But then the little meat would deal with all the tanks and bombs and guns. Have you ever tried to read a series with all that going on? Guess I need to rethink this plan. How would I bag and board my comics with such huge hands? Guess I already told ya. What a major spoiler. What a major spoiler. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What a major spoiler. What a major spoiler. If I'm stark raving rich like a man of iron, I might not be surprised to find that I might actually have the heart cold to follow an entire storyline. But would I really even need to read up on all those escapades? I mean, who needs such distractions when your sister's such a babe? But the downside is such a beast. Being shot up in a funny in the Middle East with a gang sign throwing soldier. What a major spoiler. What a major spoiler. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What a major spoiler. Whoa, 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 whoa. What a major spoiler.
This podcast is copyright 2026 by Major Spoilers Entertainment, LLC.